I wanted to thank you just for taking the time to talk to us. We're first of all, we're excited, as I mentioned to you before, about you coming and participating in the LAN event that we're hosting in Hartford, Connecticut. So clearly shows a lot of drive, literally drive from New Jersey to come to a LAN in Hartford. So maybe I'll start there, then we'll kind of let you talk about your program. But how excited are you about competing in person here?
I mean, I'm pretty excited because I've never been to a LAN before, and I know I'm going with my friends, and I'm pretty confident with how we're gonna play. And it's pretty cool that like we're playing in front of colleges, and it's really exciting.
That's cool. Yeah, I think we have about almost 80 players competing in the event, so it should be pretty cool. And we probably will have, we'll have numerous colleges obviously on site, but we'll have a whole bunch kind of watching our production and stream too. So it should be a good opportunity for you all. So very cool. So let me ask you, tell me about your program at Immaculata High School. When did it start? How many players do you currently have in the program? And Dennis, if you want to answer some of these, jump right ahead and kind of go back and forth here.
Yeah, sure. So we only started this program at the beginning of September.
Okay, it's brand new.
Right. So I started at this school. I signed on during the summer, and one of the things that the principal said to me is that he wanted to start some kind of gaming program. And he wasn't even really sure what that was, but he knew it was something that the school wanted. It was something he knew I had an interest in and a background in a little bit, or at least I knew about it. So I knew Ian already. I had taught him in middle school. I knew he was interested in gaming. He was already streaming. He had already played in some competitive events. And so I knew going in that we'd have that foundation. And so when we got to September, I started meeting some of the kids that would be in it, and we got started. When did we play our first preseason match? It was, maybe 2 weeks into school.
Yeah.
September. We got the team together. So right now we have, I think, including subs, we have 9 players that are technically on the team.
Okay.
And we've 6 of them have played in events so far. But I wanted to start with Valorant because I knew that a few of the kids were already playing it, and this is almost like a test run for us too. So I could see how this works out and then expand it to other games and other kids as we continue.
Cool. So right now it's just a Valorant team and that's competing.
Right. Yeah. Right now it's just a Valorant team, and hopefully we can expand soon. We're waiting for some equipment. The school doesn't even have PCs yet to compete on, but they have a plan for that. They should be coming within the next couple of months, and once we have that, I think it'll be easier to expand to other games and other teams.
So are your players all competing from home on their own equipment?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So the players that signed on already had their own equipment anyway, and and most of the tournaments that I've seen are run virtually. So, okay. And there are no rules about competing from home rather than from a single location.
Are you guys in an official league, or you kind of are you been joining, just tournaments where you can, or are you?
We are. Ian, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So we're in the high school esports league. It appears to be like the biggest high school league, but we're also trying to play whatever tournaments we can. For example, we're coming out to this LAN with Stay Plugged In, so it's a little bit of both. But like for the high school esports league, there is games every Wednesday. We have one today actually. We're gonna play at 9. Pretty exciting.
All right.
Fingers crossed how it goes. But yeah, it's just a little bit of both because we have that guaranteed Wednesday. I believe this is the fall season, right, Mr. Schneider? Fall season, and then there's another one. I'm not too sure when. Spring, right?
Yeah, I think it starts pretty soon after. There's not.
Yeah, it's not. It's gonna feel cold. They'll call it spring, but it'll still be cold out.
Yeah.
Right.
So very cool. So let me ask you that. As far as obviously you're excited. I can sense your excitement when you talk about you got a match in a game this evening. Leading into this, tell me about the preparation that you all are doing ahead of a match. Like, do you know much about your opponent? Have you been watching film on your last games? Like, tell me a little bit about that process.
So we do have our VODs for the past games, and we've been pushing to review those VODs. But how the league works is you don't know who you're playing up until like the actual like the exact second of when the game starts. Like, you don't know who you're playing until you queue up. It is skill based. So right now we're 1-1, so we're gonna verse other 1-1 teams.
So will you guys face the same opponents down the line a second time, or could still just be random draws of new teams? You have a sense for that?
I think they have built into the program something that keeps teams from playing each other over and over again.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how their queue system works, but I know, like Ian said, it is skill based.
Okay. And do you have a sense for where these teams are located?
I'm pretty sure they're all East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's an East Coast. I think that it's under the same umbrella, but the high school esports league, I think they have an East Coast and a West Coast tournament, and then they have a national tournament at the end with the playoff teams from both the East and West Coast. My assumption is that a national championship would be in person, because that's the only way I could see it working ping wise. But I haven't seen anything about that yet. I guess we'll see when we get there, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully you do. That's So yeah, so I guess, when I think about some of the leagues, and you guys are in a unique situation, you're a new program, you're competing kind of online. Ultimately, I think, like, if this kind of follows the track of traditional sports, the goal is that you're playing in a conference with schools kind of in your backyard, right? And now down the line, when everybody has an esports space, you're competing in person. So let me ask about what are your thoughts, or like, if you can kind of think, fast forward a little bit, how do you see that shaping up in New Jersey? Do you see more schools in your area looking to start programs, so that it's a lot different when you're playing your traditional sport rivalry or esport rival, right, than just playing some kind of random school on the East Coast, right? Like that's kind of what I'm getting at. Do you feel like you're heading in that direction quickly, or what's your sense?
Well, I mean, where our program is right now, I hope to be heading in that direction. It's just a matter of the state, or whatever state athletic organizations getting on top of it and opening up their organizational structure to esports. I think if you go school to school, you'll run into some schools who already have a program up and running, and then you'll run into other schools who've never heard of it before. So it feels like sort of a Wild West days situation where people are starting to scrap together. You see these, a lot of these third-party organizations like you guys, and like the high school esports leagues who are getting it going a little bit. But to me, it seems like an organization for esports at the state level is probably a couple of years down the line. It doesn't seem like, even just talking to people in athletics, and like I said before about some schools, they have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it gets there, and if it does, I'd obviously welcome that and want to participate. But where we are right now, I don't see it. I haven't heard anything about it being on the horizon.
Got it. And I think a lot of it comes down to schools and kind of what you're eligible to play in, or what your school kind of chooses. Some states don't have a lot of options. Like, it's pretty much, the conference dictates, okay, well, you guys are playing in this league, and this is who runs this league, and you're kind of stuck, right? I think there's certainly a lot of different options out there, as far as, different state feds that have taken over and kind of run tournaments, the larger orgs, like the one that you're playing in, Play Versus, there's another, right? There's a bunch of different groups out there that are running leagues. So, I think as you move forward, you'll probably have more opportunities to kind of, play in in-person events with other schools as it grows. As you mentioned, not everyone's on the same page. Not everyone is aware of kind of that this is a thing, right? So in your own school, like, how have the students in your school responded to the program? Are you starting to kind of to get interest from other students who now know that this exists, that are maybe interested in joining perhaps in the spring, or would they join if you added another title or game? Do you have a sense for how quickly you could potentially grow here based on kind of, people's awareness of what you have going on?
Well, I'll answer quickly, and then I'll let Ian talk about maybe if he has a perspective on what people are feeling about it right now. But from what I've seen, as soon as we put out the sign up list, there were what, 60 names on there with different titles.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a relatively small school. It's 400 or 500 people.
Okay.
So yes, when we open it up to new titles, especially titles like Rocket League or or NBA 2K or Madden, and if we can find leagues for that, I think we'll get a lot more interest. But a lot of that too is dependent on getting the equipment in the school. For these guys, I can count on them to have PCs that are good to go to compete with.
Right.
But not everybody's in that same situation. So there's a lot of interest. I think if we had unlimited resources, we could have 5, 6, 7 teams in different titles playing right now. But I'm looking to add as we go along as we can.
Got it.
Right. And so at the beginning of the year, we had like an activity fair, and we had a sign up sheet, and I saw 2K, I saw Apex Legends, I saw Rocket League, and all of those, there is leagues for them. So I think as time goes on and equipment goes on, like we will get leagues for those, and we will get a team structured for that. But when I first joined the school, I'm a senior right now. So when I was here freshman year, it wasn't even like a thought that I'd be playing in high school. So in just 4 years, like now we already have a team. Like I don't know what, but I'm hoping that when I'm gone and when I'm out of Immaculata, that our like program keeps going, keeps building, and we get those 2K teams and we get those Rocket League teams, because there definitely is interest, and not just like for Valorant, but like just any game. There is interest in the underclassmen, so I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah, and sometimes it's cool to be able to say you kind of paved the way a little bit, right?
Right. Yeah.
You're blazing up the storm here now, and you have a little bit of success. Folks will be talking about you and how you were instrumental in this whole thing. So that's kind of cool. What about if you think about kind of equipment, and obviously funding is a big issue, right? Like different schools have different resources. I know schools have some schools can apply for grants and use some of that money to build out an esports space, and a lot of schools will use that space kind of as a dual purpose, where during the day, they're running classes in those classrooms, those labs, whether that's, a tech class, something to do with, maybe it's an intro to, video editing or graphic design or whatever the school might have. Maybe it's a game design, intro to game design during the day. And then, obviously in the afternoon and evenings, that's kind of where you all can compete and use that space. Do you have a space in mind at your school? Or does the school kind of have something in mind as that could become the dedicated space, or how do you envision that playing out?
Right. Well, I've been speaking to the technology director since July, August, since before I even started working there, and right away we got on trying to figure out what PCs would work, what budget they'd be willing to allocate toward that. And they've been very cooperative. We're still waiting on funding, I think, from the state's or the county educational services commission. I was just talking to the technology director earlier. As soon as they get that funding, they'll be ready to go with the space. And like you said, it's going to be a dual purpose room. They're going to use it for the music program, which is pretty robust at the school during the day. And then we'll be set to use it, I think, anytime after school onwards. It's going to be 5 PCs. Ian looked at him. I know next to nothing about gaming PCs, so I went to him and he went back and forth with the technology director and settled on what I think are pretty good, PCs and monitors and whatever they need. And the space that they've said, it's no problem. They'll hardwire the internet in, so we're not using Wi-Fi. They want to get it set up well. There are people behind this. I'm not begging anybody to do their best on this. The people who are involved are really, they seem excited and motivated to get a good space up and functioning.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's critical. You just need 1 or 2 folks that that get it, are supportive, get behind it, and I think you all do all the work, right? Like you and your students kind of, and how they carry themselves, how they perform, how passionate they are about the program is going to be kind of, critical to showing folks like why this is something that you should continue to pursue. So you have a great opportunity ahead of you, and Ian, you have a great attitude about you. I'm excited for you. I think you guys have a lot of good things to show moving forward. I guess if I think about you as being kind of a model program for a lot of schools, like what advice would you give some other school that's kind of like following in your footsteps right now, Dennis, in terms of trying to get this program, get their respective program off the ground? And, now that you're in the midst of it right now, so you probably have some insight as to what you would like to see maybe different, where you think someone might look to kind of push those buttons a little bit to kind of get the program running. Any advice?
Right. Well, I think the first step is finding the kids who are passionate about it. Because even if you know something about gaming, there are kids in the school who definitely know more.
Right.
So finding those kids first, and then putting together something for the administration to start up that doesn't require a ton of effort. So I was able to go to them once they asked me to start the program. I was able to go to them and say, these are the kids that are involved. This is what we're going to do. It's not going to require much cooperation aside from down the road when we get the equipment from the school. So having a plan put together. So I found the high school esports league pretty much right away. I knew it was something we could sort of just plug in and play with the team that we had. So, but finding the kids first is the most important part. Luckily for me, I knew Ian and I was able to talk to him beforehand going into the school, and he was able to put together kids who he knew were able to compete in the game. And so I had that advantage. But I think really the first part is finding the kids, because they'll have ideas about things that and they might be aware of organizations and ways to play that you aren't. So that's, I think, the first big step.
Got it. Okay. That's good advice. So Ian, obviously you're going to participate in a recruiting showcase over the weekend. You have aspirations to compete in college in esports is my thought, unless you're just coming there for prize money.
No. I used to play sports all of elementary school, middle school. I still play for fun. Like I'll play basketball sometimes for pickup. So like I'm a competitor. I like competing. I like the competitive aspect. So I definitely do have interest in playing in college, and I always have. Either it be like a traditional sport or esports, which is looking a lot more promising now with Stay Plugged In. So it's pretty exciting. But yeah, I definitely have aspirations to play in college. So.
How about some of your teammates that are joining you in this event? They feel the same, or you dragging them along for the ride here?
I mean, it's both ways, but I know definitely my friend Dylan. He's looked into it, and I got him to set up an account and everything, and he's pretty locked in on it too. So
very cool. There's a ton of opportunity. I mean, I've got 3 boys. They're traditional sport kids. They're also gamers. 2 of them play college soccer, and the third one's in high school as a junior. I regret probably crushing his Call of Duty dreams when he was 10, only because he was competing against college kids in what I deemed was a too toxic environment. But my oldest reminds me, he's like, yeah, Dad, he probably would have been seeing a considerable scholarship versus what he might see, from a traditional sport on the soccer side rather. But yeah, you're going to find obviously that there's a lot of colleges that are, from partials to full rides and everything in between, and a lot of schools that are adding programs and looking to either flip from a club to a varsity level esport. And so I think you're entering this in a very unique time, much different than traditional sports. And I kind of joke about it, but on the traditional sports side, it's very hard to play in college in general. But then even if you do make a Division I program, there's limited dollars, right? So not everyone that's playing on a Division I team is also seeing meaningful scholarship dollars. But right now on the esports side, there's a lot of schools that are giving meaningful dollars. So there's certainly an opportunity there. So I wish you luck with that, and hopefully we will be able to help you make as many connections as possible.
Yeah, of course.
Let me ask you one last question here, and I appreciate all your time. From a parent perspective, how supportive have the parents been, Dennis, to folks that the students that are competing?
Well, I've known Ian's parents for a while, and even back when Ian was in middle school and he started streaming and he started competing in Fortnite events, his parents seemed all for it. He joined an organization. He became a partner on Twitch, and even I didn't know how much. I still don't know how much they understand it, but they seem to buy into whatever Ian wants to do. And I'm still trying, I'm trying to get in touch with the other parents. They know that their kids play games, but I don't think parents understand yet how big an opportunity this can be for a lot of their kids. So that's one thing I want to, when we expand the program, I really want to do a better job of reaching out to parents and letting them know that it's not just a club that their kids participating in. You know, there could be, you know, a future in it as far as college scholarships go, and even something to participate or compete in college if there's not scholarship money available. You know, this has gone from something that's purely a hobby to something that's a viable part of their kids' future, and I really want to try to get that across to them somehow.
No, that's great. And I think you'll see this weekend in the in-person events. I've seen it all the time. Like when parents kind of see their kid participating or competing for the first time, they're kind of blown away by the whole thing. They're like, they just kind of view you as you're in your room playing for a few hours and you're playing with your buddies. But then when they actually see everything that, you know, competing entails, the communications that are required, how competitive it is, right? You know, when you're playing against other players, other teams, it's like any other traditional sport, you know, it's on, right? You want to win, and you're doing everything you can to kind of stay focused and make sure you're handling yourself, you're accountable to teammates. And I think a lot of times parents that see that, you know, have a totally different opinion of, you know, the skill set and everything else that entails. So I think, you know, that'll be a good opportunity for you all. But yeah, we're doing our best to try to open, you know, parents' eyes to kind of the opportunities that exist for folks. And we've seen, you know, kids that have participated in programs across the country that they may compete as a player, but some of them are just part of the program because they like helping with the production, the streaming. Maybe they want to be a caster, right? We've had folks that have participated in showcases that have gotten scholarships from schools to go, you know, to be a caster in college, right? So the opportunities beyond just playing, you know, there's career paths in esports that are very viable. There's a lot of colleges that are adding esports as a major, a minor. So, you know, I think that's the part that's kind of, you know, will be eye-opening to parents as we move forward. And I think obviously as more and more people kind of see that, you'll start to see that space continue to grow and explode, because, you know, we're seeing programs that are starting at the middle school level. And, you know, when you see that, and then you see high schools that can't get a program off the ground, there's still kind of a wide range. But I think you guys are in a pretty good spot to build something quickly.
Right. I agree with you, and I hope so.
Yeah. Well, again, I appreciate your time. I didn't have anything else. I just kind of wanted to get a glimpse of your program and kind of where you're at. And, you know, I'd love to be able to check in with you, you know, at the end of the season and kind of and see like the growth in your program if you add other titles, and see kind of where you went from the fall to the spring. I'm sure, you know, you guys are going to do a lot of big things quickly.
Good. Yeah. So, and I hope that, you know, Stay Plugged In could be a part of that. It seems like you offer a lot for esports, which I appreciate.
Yeah, for sure. We're trying to, you know, make the connections for these high school kids. There's plenty of opportunities out there. You know, the in-person events I think are critical, because like a traditional sport, and you know from playing traditional sports, it's when coaches can watch you in person, they can kind of get a better feel for, you know, how you handle yourself, right? It's one thing to watch a highlight clip or a video, but when I see you in person, I kind of get a better sense for how you are. You know, and you know, we're certainly there to try to help make those connections.
Okay, great.
So Dennis, will you be making the trip to Connecticut as well?
Yeah, I will be. I'll be there for support. I also want to see what it's like. I haven't been to an event like this.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys. I will be there on Saturday and Sunday, so I'll make sure I say hello to you all, and I wish you luck, Ian.
All right, exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for your time, guys.
All right, have a good one.
Take care.
You too.